Hello, you're watching Shalom World News. I'm Rory McLennan coming to you from Glasgow, Scotland. Here are the latest headlines from around the world. Pope Francis has cancelled his anticipated visit to the COP28 International Climate Summit in Dubai. The decision comes amid health concerns, specifically lung inflammation. In a statement, Director of the Holy See Press Office Matteo Bruni said that Pope Francis cancelled the trip with great regret. His visit was to take place from December the 1st to the 3rd. Pope Francis was expected to speak at the COP28 Assembly on Saturday and take part in the COP's Faith Pavilion inauguration on Sunday. In order to facilitate the Pope's recovery, engagements scheduled for these days have been postponed. However, the Holy Father has already shown an improvement since Monday, with no fever or particular respiratory problems. The Holy See Press Office has released the schedule of Pope Francis's liturgical celebrations for this year's holiday season, including Christmas Mass during the night and Mass with baptisms in the Sistine Chapel.
Pope Francis will preside over the Nativity of the Lord Mass during the night at St. Peter's Basilica on Sunday, December 24th, starting at 7:30 p.m. The Pope will bestow the Orbi et Orbi blessing on Monday, December 25th, Christmas Day, starting at 12 p.m. from St. Peter's Basilica's Central Loggia. Holy Father will lead the celebration of First Vespers in the Te Deum in St. Peter's Basilica on Sunday, December 31st, at 5 p.m., as a gesture of gratitude for the year that has come to an end. News Desk, SW News.
A World Health Organization spokesperson warned on Tuesday that Gaza could see a greater death toll from health issues, including infectious diseases, than from Israeli airstrikes during the conflict with Hamas. The WHO said the war has caused a public health crisis in Gaza that could drive up the death toll if the territory's health system is not restored, running water is not supplied, and shelters for displaced Palestinians are not rebuilt. According to Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry, over 13,300 Palestinians have already been killed in the conflict. At a UN briefing in Switzerland, Margaret Harris of the WHO expressed concerns about an increase in infectious disease outbreaks, particularly diarrheal diseases, as a result of this health infrastructure breakdown. Meanwhile, Hamas and Israel were expected to release more hostages and prisoners on Wednesday, the end of a prolonged 6-day truce in Gaza. The bishops of Europe have shared their closeness to all those suffering from war across the world, including in the Holy Land, Ukraine and Armenia. The Council of Episcopal Conferences of Europe met this week in Malta for its annual plenary assembly. In his opening speech, the president of the European bishops, Archbishop Gintaras Grusas of Vilnius in Lithuania, said, "Today, more than ever, the world needs peace." He appealed for a just peace in compliance with international law. The Archbishop also addressed other issues, including the protection of life, referring to the recent Indy Gregory case in the UK. She was a toddler with a mitochondrial illness whose life support was removed by the courts. His Grace said placing the power of determining if a person will live or die in the hands of a judge is unacceptable. Myanmar's military attacked and occupied Loiko's Cathedral of Christ the King in Kaya State, that being a mountainous area in eastern Myanmar bordering Thailand. Describing the ordeal his church is going through, Bishop Celso Ba Shui said more than 80% of the urban and rural people in Kaya have been internally displaced due to intensifying armed conflicts in November. The bishop and priests were forced to leave the pastoral centre after it came under heavy attack on the night of November the 26th, when the military fired numerous deliberate shots at the pastoral centre. Pope Francis released his prayer intention for the month of December and has invited the faithful to pray that people with disabilities may be at the centre of attention in our societies. That's with United Nations designated International Day of People with Disabilities falling on the 3rd of December. The Holy Father said that people with disabilities are among the most fragile, with some of them suffering rejection and also marginalisation. The Pope called on the Church and civil institutions to support projects that provide education, employment and opportunities for creativity for the disabled. In Nigeria, at least 10 Christians were killed by suspected Fulani herdsmen in the state of Taraba during an attack on November the 24th. According to residents, the militants attacked the Yangtu Special Development Area near Takum and then villages in Usa County in the evening. Witnesses said the attackers shot anyone they saw. Most of the victims were returning from their farms when attacked, while some were killed in their homes. Rodolfo Nogueira, a member of the Brazilian Chamber of Deputies, is advocating for stricter penalties for abortion in the country. This will come under the Articles 124 to 126 of the Penal Code. The proposed bill imposes a 6 to 20-year prison sentence for abortions performed on a pregnant woman with her permission. Meanwhile, if a third party causes the abortion, the penalty will be 14 to 30 years. The punishment could be increased by 1/6 to 1/3 for the agent who causes the abortion through humiliation or grave threat. Currently, the Penal Code criminalises abortion with 1 to 3 years of imprisonment for abortion if it's caused by the pregnant woman or with her consent, 3 to 10 years if driven by a third party, and 6 to 20 for anyone who performs the procedure on a pregnant woman who dies. The Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference has released a 24-page document to guide priests, chaplains and pastoral workers on how to offer support to Catholics considering euthanasia. This comes less than a year after Australian lawmakers legalised euthanasia in the Northern and the Australian Capital Territories. The document, entitled To Witness and to Accompany with Christian Hope, is a learning resource said to be increasingly pertinent and helpful as a tool to help Catholics through difficult situations as more countries enact legislation allowing euthanasia. Imprisoned Nicaraguan Bishop Rolando Alvarez has been awarded the Charisma Award for Cooperation and Mission, organised by the Spanish Conference of Religious. The bishop was recognised for his social commitment, particularly to the persecuted church of his country, and his works to build communities based on justice, peace and solidarity. The Bishop of Matagalpa received the award on his 57th birthday on November the 27th. The prelate is serving a 26-year sentence for treason. Exiled Nicaraguan journalist Israel González Espinosa received the award on behalf of the prelate and urged for his immediate release. Bishop Alvarez has been a stern critic of Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega's Sandinista government. 3 years after mass arrests, prosecutors and attorneys for Hong Kong's most significant national security case are set to return to court today. This brings dozens of the most well-known pro-democracy figures in Hong Kong a step closer to finding out their destiny. The 47 politicians and activists were accused of conspiracy to commit subversion because they participated in an unauthorised primary election in 2020. Those in trial said the plan for the protests was only a part of the oppositional, pluralistic politics that Hong Kong has always tolerated. In the event of a conviction, the maximum penalty may be life in prison. The case is the most extensive crackdown on the pro-democracy camp in Hong Kong. On Tuesday, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee proposed legislation establishing a new statewide education savings account program to provide funding for students attending private or home schools of their choice in 2024 to 2025. 20,000 students would receive $7,075 in state funding under the proposed law, and the Republican governor also pushed plans to offer school vouchers to all 95 Tennessee counties from 2025. Lee's proposed Education Freedom Scholarship Act states half of the funding will be available to students whose families' incomes are below 300% of the federal poverty level, students with disabilities, and those who meet eligibility requirements for the existing ESA pilot program. The remaining will be made available to any student currently entitled to attend a Tennessee public school. The initiative will now need the approval of the state legislature, in which Republicans have supermajorities in both chambers. Actor Jonathan Roumie, who plays Jesus in the television series The Chosen, has teamed up with the Catholic child sponsorship charity Unbound to sponsor the organisation's 1 millionth child currently living in poverty. Roumie first began sponsoring with Unbound in 2019, financially supporting and writing letters to a child in Tanzania. The international non-profit announced on Tuesday that Roumie will sponsor its 1 millionth sponsored friend. Roumie said sponsoring a child is a direct expression of faith. Based in Kansas, Unbound uses a network of thousands of sponsors to deliver personalised support to children, elders and their families in Latin America, Asia and in Africa. And those are your latest headlines. Do join us again next time for more, and do remember you can always visit swnews.org for more updates. Shalom!